Welcome to Obi-Wan Studios, and for today's LEGO Star Wars set review, I thought with the release of Andor Season 2, we would take a look at the only Andor Season 1 set that was made, the 75338 Ambush on Ferrix. This set released in August of 2022 for $70 and retired at the end of 2023. Today, if you want to pick it up sealed, just like my example, you can expect to pay about the same price as retail based on sales data from Brick Economy, which makes it for a pretty solid pickup if you want to get any of the exclusive minifigs that are in this set. This set contains 679 pieces and comes with 3 total minifigures, all of which are exclusive to the set: Cassian Andor, Luthen Rael, and Cyril Karn, for a pretty solid minifig selection based on Andor Season 1. As far as the box art is concerned, you see the 2 builds on the front of it on Ferrix. You have the BTY-180 carrier, which is the accurate name for in universe of this kind of dropship build you see there, and then the little speeder that both Cassian and Luthen take to escape that ambush on Ferrix, which the set is pretty aptly named. If you turn the box around, you'll find the set's play features are highlighted, pretty standard stuff, and then more of the scenery on Ferrix, which is the kind of main planet that you see in Andor Season 1. I've never opened this set up. I bought it before it retired, and I've been watching Andor Season 1 again, falling a little bit more in love with the show on my second viewing, and I thought, why not just open this one up and review it on the channel with the release of Andor Season 2. I thought it'd be a pretty good time, so I'm going to go now and unseal the set, and then I'll go over all of the box contents with you guys. Alright, for our box contents, we have our instructions manual, a sticker sheet which is a bit larger than I was expecting, to be honest, for the set, and then 6 total numbered bags. I'm going to go watch a little bit more of Andor Season 1 while I build this set, and I will check back in with you guys once the Ambush on Ferrix is all complete. Alright, now I've completed everything for the Ambush on Ferrix, and one thing that I want you guys to keep in mind for this review is that this set actually released before Andor Season 1 release, so LEGO was definitely using a lot of concept art for the overall designs of the builds and the minifigs in this set, and with that in mind, let's dive into our minifigures first, starting off with Cassian Andor. Now, this version of Andor, to me, has one kind of thing that I just am not the biggest fan of, and it's the shade of brown that LEGO went with for his hairpiece and his beard as well. When you watch the show back, or even in Rogue One, to me, his hair is a lot closer to black than kind of this middle shade of brown that they've chosen to use on him, and I think black would have been less wrong, just a little bit more accurate. So looking at this minifig, I just don't totally see Cassian Andor just because of the shade of brown for his hair and his beard. The actual face prints, both of them that you get, look really good though otherwise in terms of the quality and accuracy. The printing on his torso, waist, legs, and on his back looks great too. Pretty accurate, especially from concept art, and the different shade that's on his arms as well of the brown compared to the torso just looks really good. So the hair color aside for Cassian Andor, he's a pretty good minifig. Our next minifig is Luthen, and he's easily my favorite character from Andor. The writing of his character and the delivery from Stellan Skarsgård was phenomenal, and the minifig came out, I think, just looking really great. The hairpiece really works for Luthen. Both face prints also just help to make his character look a lot more like he does. And the quality of the printing on him in terms of both the accuracy and just general aesthetic and the design choices looks really good. It goes through the torso, waist, and legs, and on his back. The one thing I just really wish LEGO would have done is change the actual color of his legs. You see a little bit of the darker green printing, which represents his pants, but then it's that same kind of more olive green color throughout the rest of the legs, and just changing that color scheme or doing some sort of dual molded legs would have made his character look a lot better in my opinion, but still a pretty great minifig for Luthen. And our last minifig is Cyril in his Prelox Morlana officer uniform. I believe that's how you pronounce it. The design of Cyril, I think, works pretty nicely. You have the little stripe of orange on his hat, which definitely is the correct color scheme. The single face print that you get just looks a little plain to me. Maybe just some wrinkle lines or something would have made it not look as... It almost looks like an older face print for LEGO in my opinion, just a little bit. I don't know. I'm just wishing for a little bit more detail to it. And the same thing goes for his actual uniform design. Maybe some arm printing, leg printing, or dual molded legs even just would have made him look a bit better. Overall, I think he just looks a little too plain for my personal liking, but the details that are there look pretty great compared to the source material. Overall, 3 great minifigs out of this set, but for the price point, it kind of makes me wish we just got one more maybe officer or something to go along with it and fill up the actual builds a little bit more. But in general, the 3 minifigs you'd want at a bare minimum for this set. Okay, so turning to the first build from the set, we have the speeder bike that both Cassian and Luthen take when they're escaping Cyril and the rest of the officers. And again, knowing that LEGO used concept art for the design of this set, I think the speeder bike looks pretty bang on to what you see in the show. You don't get a ton of actual screen time of the speeder bike, but from what you can see, the color scheme looks pretty accurate, and even the overall design, like you see the kind of twin piping that goes from around where the handlebars are towards the front of the speeder bike. There's the wire that wraps around them as well, which I just think looks cool in general, but you can kind of see that it's there in the show as well. Lots of details like that the designers created for the speeder bike that just helps make it look a little bit more accurate and just unique as well. Where the 2 seats are, where you can place both Cassian and Luthen on, which is kind of the main part of the speeder bike, they both ride off away as kind of the chase and everything's going on. There's a couple clips underneath these seats for both of their weapons. I just like the speeder bike. It's a bit unique, it's pretty cool, and I think the designers did a really good job in making it look like it does from the show. And then we have the main build for the set, and I think at the beginning I might have accidentally called it the wrong name. Now, you see these in Andor get dropped out from a BTY 180 carrier. That's kind of like almost the mothership for these things. Their official name is the RK-392, or they even call mobile tactical pods. That's kind of like this design. It's almost like a mini gunship in the way it looks. I think it's really cool, if I'm being honest, and the build is a lot more almost bulky and just heavy in general for what you would expect out of a set like this. Even though the scale of the build is definitely on the smaller side, it's got some weight to it. The panels are all pretty thick and bulky, and when you fly it around, it's not going to fall apart on you at all. It just feels incredibly sturdy. So in terms of that design element for it, the designers did a really great job. What I also love about its design is the fact that there are very few gaps in between all of the different panels, even the way it kind of angles at the front, which is accurate to what you see in terms of its design in the show, but really the way they actually attach, and I'll throw some B-roll in there too for you guys to see, actually makes it so that it's a pretty seamless overall design. On the exterior as well, you have some stickers throughout with some yellow striping. I just wish they would have added some stickers onto these front side sections, which you do see it has in the show. Just would have added in a little bit more color, made it just that much more accurate. But from everything I can see, all the rest of the markings are represented very well in terms of the actual exterior design for the mobile attack pod. On the top of the vessel as well, you have a little rotating laser cannon that spins 360 degrees around and then has some stud shooters on either side. That looks really great. And then there is a central cannon as well underneath the front of the ship, nice and accurately represented in the build. Now, one other play feature with the exterior of the mobile attack pod is that the little wings can actually rotate depending on the flight mode or landed mode, and you can just simply take them and rotate them up so that they kind of come together, and they do pinch that central laser cannon just a little bit, but that is the accurate look for when the ship is landed. And then when you want it to fly, you simply just lower them down, and there's just a little stud that allows them to sit at the proper angle. It's a great play feature and works very well. The back side of the build looks really great as well, with some greaveling details that are brick built into the back hatch, and the engines as well look as they should. Maybe some light blue transparent thrust would have just added a little bit of extra color and detail to it and would have been the accurate color as well, but in general, I think the engines look pretty great too. Now, in order to access the build's interior, you have 4 different ways you can do that. The front of the cockpit with the beautiful printed windshield piece, it looks so great, just lifts up. You kind of have to move the laser cannon out of the way to reveal the forward cockpit section, and then the side panels as well can lower on either side, which I don't believe is an accurate detail to the ship in universe, but it definitely allows you to get some more access into the side and actually place some more extra characters in kind of the troop deployment area, the troop hold, whatever you want to call it. And then at the back, we have the main rear hatch, which also comes down. It's a little tricky to grab, can be a little tricky to grab. And the best way to lower it is just by actually grabbing that clip on the backside, which gives you a little bit more grip, and then you can place the back rear ramp down, which is the correct way that they should exit out of the mobile attack pod. But that kind of showcases how you can access the interior. You have a lot of space. In the front cockpit, there are 3 different stickers which just have so much great detail for all the little buttons and switches, knobs and lights. It looks really great in terms of the forward kind of cockpit area, a lot of detail and a lot of space. And then you just have 4 different seats for the troops as well. If you had just any extra of, the same officers as Cyril to go in the back there, which is where the build could have maybe used another 1 or 2 of these different officers as just additional minifigs in it so that you could fill it up more, because with just Cyril, you don't really have any other troops to add in, and this is the only one that LEGO has made, so it's kind of big to ask the question, okay, well, what did LEGO expect for us to put in terms of characters inside of this that would make sense for what you see in the show maybe? So I don't know, that's maybe one knock against the set, is that it definitely could have used a couple more officers just due to the spacing that's inside of the build, but the detail looks great in terms of the color scheme on the seats. You have a little fire extinguisher build, and then there also is a small crate, just has no printing on it, but a nice crate to store some extra things. And then even on the back side of the build near the rear loading ramp, you have some clips to store just additional weapons if you choose to, and there is an extra blaster that the set comes with that you can attach there. So some more weapon storage, which is also very much appreciated. A pretty solid interior for such a small build. I'm genuinely impressed by how much detail and how much space was added into the build's design for that interior. So when it comes to the Ambush on Ferrix, I think it's a pretty cool set, and being the only Andor Season 1 set that we've ever gotten, it definitely makes it that little bit extra special. However, that $70 price point that the set released at and that you can still pick it up at today definitely feels pretty expensive for what you are getting. The builds, I mean, the main mobile attack pod build, sure, it's bulky, like I mentioned, it has great swooshability, it's very sturdy, but it's still pretty small. And then you get a great speeder bike build, but when you think about that, the 3 minifigs, it just doesn't feel like that value at $70 is really there. And I think what LEGO really needed to do with the set is add in a couple more of the officers to go with the mobile tactical pod, so that at least it feels like there's some more play there, that you have a couple different guys to go up against Luthen and Cassian, fill up the mobile attack pod a little bit more also. And I think that goes to show as to why the set can still be found for that $70 price point, is because even though it's been retired now, it still feels a bit much to pay for the set, even though it's been retired for over a year. So if you want the set, if you're a big fan of Andor, I definitely think it is worth picking up, but you got to be a hardcore fan of Andor, I think, at this point to really want to own this set, and a hardcore fan maybe of the characters. So for the Obi-Wan Studios official set rating, I'm giving this one a 7.6 out of 10. It's pretty great in terms of the builds that you get, the minifigs, but it just is really lacking that value and just additional, things for your money. So that's really what ultimately is knocking the set back for me. It's good, but I just think it's way too expensive for what you're getting. Thank you for watching my review on the 75338 Ambush on Ferrix. As always, let me know your guys' thoughts on this set and Andor as a show in the comments down below. And if you did enjoy the review, make sure you leave a like. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet and you want to support the LEGO Star Wars videos that I make sure you are subscribed. It's just genuinely the best way to support my videos. And until the next one, you guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next LEGO Star Wars review.